as Leila said, I'm Kevin Kuther. I'm the design manager. This is as good as this gets. This is our 11th one of these, so this is as polished as we are. So I'm kind of excited because council approved that we advertise all the applications for bridge, rural, and urban this year. So these applications I'm going to talk about are the STBG funds. So STBG funds are for federal projects for design and construction. Most of the applications that we're going to talk about today are for classified roadways or roadways that are on the federal aid system. So collectors or arterials are above. We'll give you the heads up if it's an application that is not on a federal aid system. Most of these applications or projects require a local match of 7.34%, with the exception in this group of being off-system bridge. Off-system bridge is 100% federally funded. It's the first time in my LHTAC career anyways, that the transportation bill has identified specific funds for off-system bridge. LHTAC has always had an off-system bridge program, but it was LHTAC administered. Now it is in the federal transportation bill. The timing of federal aid is what I kind of wanted to elaborate on. It is not fast. Usually it goes into the ITIP. Your project will go into the ITIP, and that's a 5 to 6 year program. That last year is typically 2 years, really. But between application, programming, design, those projects just take longer than you anticipate them taking. And then it's also, we have a program that we're trying to balance. And we've all seen what happens with rising construction prices. When LHTAC doesn't have money, we just have programs. So when one project comes in over, something has to give. It's a net zero game each year. So you have to balance that program, and that usually draws the whole process out. I know I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understands when you get your project into the federal aid program, just kind of measure the expectations there. All of this work is completed with the help of consultants. So LHTAC helps, negotiate with the consultants, but both the design and the construction of it are done with the help of consultants. So what is LHTAC's role in this? We help you as the local make sure the project follows federal aid regulations. So there are 3 agencies in the state of Idaho that can administer federal aid. That is ITD, Ada County Highway District, and LHTAC. And we do that because we have a stewardship agreement with ITD and FHWA. That agreement lists all the roles and responsibilities. There's over 50 of them on there, and there are no duplications in that effort. So I saw a question pass up from Lynn on a bridge. I think Scott must have got that. So well, what a good segue. We're right here on the right slide to help you out there. So federal aid urban, the applications are for populations 5 to 50,000. Federal aid rural are for areas less than 5,000, and federal aid bridge local and off system. So the thing to recognize with urban is it's not just the urban boundary, like not just the city limits proper. It is a smooth urbanized area or cluster around that urbanized or that urban area. So like on the picture there, we have Rexburg there, but it's the area around Rexburg as approved by ITD and FHWA, the 2010 census. So again, just the kind of a indicator of federal aid kind of is, I know it's 2022 and we're 2 years past the last census, but the latest approved census is 2010. So a tool that can help you out is we've now on all of our GIS maps. So whether that's the crash map or the project map or the bridge map, they all have the same GIS interface. On that map, you can now select urbanized areas, and it'll show you those on the map. And you can also select classified roadways. And that would then tell you if that bridge is on or off system. If you have a bridge that's on, in this case, the blue lines, that's a local bridge. And if it's not on there, that's an off system bridge. And if for any reason you have questions about which application, just get a hold of myself, Scott, anybody here at LHTAC, and we'll help you out to make sure you apply for the correct one. Something we've done for all the applications this year is we've standardized the project estimating sheet, the 1150 form. This is the key to making this all work and have the program be successful, each program, because like I said, we're chasing a rising construction costs in anything. And when an estimate's not put into the program with what is, accurate. I know everybody tries to put them in as accurate at the time. And then I said 5 years later, but we're trying to mitigate some of that. So we put descriptors in each line that shows you where the numbers should come from. So you should have an estimate of what the project construction cost will be. And then the application or this form will help you fill out the rest of it, so you know what the total project cost will be. We've added a 30% contingency amount to the bottom of that to try to help mitigate some of that rising cost and make it so these projects can be successful. Because when the project comes in at $2 million and it really is going to cost $5 million to construct, so we don't have more money. It's just that something has to give in order to balance that all out. So those are hard conversations to have with sponsors along the way, and nobody likes to have them, but we all want the project to be successful. We've added rationale and examples or descriptions for each question. So we want you to have this money. We want every application to be as successful as possible. We're just trying to make it so everybody is getting compared apples to apples when they apply for a project, and they have the same equal opportunity to have maximum points when applicable on the application, I guess, applicable application. So the process right now, until today, I guess, yesterday, we were in October. So applications are out and advertised on our website. Those get submitted to LHTAC starting in December and ending in January. Those applications are evaluated and scored by council and staff in March. We submit to our council for approval, then we submit the approved list from our council to ITD for inclusion on the ITIP. That ITIP goes out for public comment through the summer, basically. And then December, it's usually December, it's plus or minus a month somewhere. Then ITD and FHWA approve the ITIP, and then your project gets a key number, and we can, then whatever year it's programmed, we can start work on that. And then we start this whole process over. Next October, we'll have another workshop tour. So once you have a project that's in the ITIP, when the year of your project is programmed comes up, you will get a state and local agreement for development. Once that agreement is executed, LHTAC will help select the consultant, negotiate, and then once that agreement is signed, we can start the design. It's important to note that during the design of the project, the invoices will be reviewed and then submitted to the sponsor. The sponsor then pays the consultant and submits that invoice for reimbursement from ITD. So once the project is designed, you will get another state and local for construction. That agreement will then have the rest of your remaining match included with that. So we'll have, the project is now, the unknowns are now known. We have the accurate estimate. We're going to advertise the project, and it'll spell out each duty and responsibility in that agreement. But after ITD bids the project, you will, as the sponsor, the ITD will pay the bills. So your match is already paid at that point. So then again, LTAC will help and assist with the CEI selection negotiations, and then your project gets constructed. So I just wanted to try to spell out the difference between the design process and the construction process and who pays the bills. So if there's any questions, feel free to interrupt there and we'll get them answered. It can be a little bit confusing. Hearing none, we advance. Some useful tips and tricks for you on these applications is the highest point value for each application is in the project description. And it's important that you describe the project to a council member or somebody who is not from your area. Tell somebody, sell the project, tell somebody why it's important to you, your community, what makes this project important to you. Like I said, the person scoring it might not be familiar with your area at all, so you have to give an accurate description. You also get maximum points if you're involved in a multi-jurisdictional transportation group, if you have a pavement and sign management program, and if the project is supported in your transportation plan or your capital improvement plan. I want you to be creative. Like I said, sell the project, but utilize the rationale and the examples for every question that's on there. So the first application that we'll go into is the bridge application. So annually, the local bridge program has $7.8 million, approximately $7.8 million, and the off-system bridge has $6.7 million. So I'll hit you with this probably 3 times through the presentation, but the applications for the bridge program are due January 19th at 4:30 Mountain Time. So for the bridge application has both the local bridge and off-system bridge in there. The local is on system, and that has the 7.34% match. The off-system bridge requires no match. That's 100% funded. And if I showed you the maps and how you can toggle those different layers on and see, but if you have questions, give us a call. We'll make sure we can help you get the right application for whatever bridge you want to apply for. So all cities, counties, and highway districts are eligible for this program. It is 1 per jurisdiction, the local or off bridge. And here's that answer to that question earlier. A bridge is defined as over 20 feet in length and carries a public road. So the goal of all of these applications was to have them alternate every other year. It's been a while since we had all the applications and the programs freed up enough that we could take applications. So that's why you'll see they're all available this year, but hopefully we get back on a schedule. So the last time we accepted this application was 2020. Funding is limited to $3 million in federal aid of total project cost for this program. There's no double dipping with Leading Idaho Local Bridge. However, if you apply for Leading Idaho Local Bridge, you can apply for this program for the same bridge. It's just once we would spend federal aid on the project, then it would no longer be eligible. So like I said, it sits in that program for 3-4 years. If we haven't spent any federal aid and the Leading Idaho Local Bridge program gets additional funding, you could apply for that bridge also. We just don't want to mix the funds. So once federal aid is expended on the project, then it would no longer be eligible for that. And because the Leading Idaho Local Bridge program came into fruition in the past, we've only had this application open for replacements. But this year we thought it would be, the council approved that we open it up for replacements, rehabs, or preservations. So just make sure you're selecting what you need on the application when you're applying. Every piece of information that you need to fill out this section of the application comes from your inspection reports. Those are furnished by ITD. Back to you. If you do not have a copy of that, you can get a hold of Scott. Scott can help you locate that or use his connection, squeeze somebody and get you the right information. Again, I put Scott on this as the bridge guru because that's what he is. But if you have any questions ever and you can't get a hold of Scott, call one of us here. We will help you get what you need. Get behind the scenes, what I would do is just go straight to Scott and ask him. So something that's new to this application this year is in the past, we've had field reviews recommended for each application because Leading Idaho Local Bridge is going on, and we didn't think that staff would have time to go look at that each site of your applications. We're encouraging a desktop review. So if you coordinate with Scott, Scott can get you a desktop review, and then the maximum points would be incorporated, or maximum points would be available to you if you incorporated the results of that into your application. And then the idea is that we would take the top ranking projects, whatever that number happens to be, and then we would go do coordinated site visits with each of those to confirm. So we would have probably somebody from the environmental side and from Bridge go make sure that your estimate and everything is accurate, and then more accurately score those applications, those highest ranking ones. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. We also updated the project cost estimating worksheet. So this is the most accurate information available at the time of that we published or had the council approve those applications. So, I mean, like I said, we're chasing a moving target, but when council approved this in September, this was, Scott put the most current information in there. So it's something that everybody, again, will be, if you use that sheet, everybody will be compared apples to apples on their bridge. It's important to note that with this application, approach work is limited to 10% of the project cost. This is for bridges mainly, and then like we're not gonna have build the roads to get there. It's just, this is just for the bridge itself, and the approach work is limited to 10%. If the project cost exceeds $3 million, maximum points will be awarded if you give me a detailed description of where the additional funds come from to finish the project. So if you apply for a $6 million bridge, you'll get the maximum points if you detail to us where the additional $3 million is coming from. So that, like I said, that way we don't have hard conversations or uncomfortable conversations to try to figure out where that additional funding is coming from, as long as it's spelled out in that application. Another resource we have available for you is we have, again, this is that GIS kind of base map that Matthew develops. They are, lists all bridges on the state and the local system, and you can step on one of those bridges and get some more details of anything. And again, if you can't find something or you need something, please get a hold of somebody and we will get you some help. So this is time number 2 here. Federal aid application, bridge applications are due January 19th at 4:30 Mountain. Postmark no later than January 16th. We need 2 copies and the signed original. We did that, and Megan we'll talk about it too, but we did it because we don't really have an idea of how many applications we are going to get for all these programs. And if you submit us 1 copy and we had to make additional copies to distribute to our council to score these, the administrative burden might be pretty great. So that's why we just said everybody include 2 copies plus the signed original. And if you have any questions, now would be a good time, because I think Scott's on there helping everybody answer. But if you have questions during the application process when you're filling it out, don't hesitate, call us. Like I said, we will get you the answer or help you, point you in the right direction anyways. Is there anything out there, Jake?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Take 2 on my audio working. Looks like that's coming through now. Thank you for those who've typed questions in the chat box. We'll pause for a few seconds. If you want to unmute yourself in Zoom, you can now do that and ask any questions you may have about the federal aid bridge program. All right, without any questions, Kevin, I think we're ready to move on to the next application.
Okay, I'm trying to make that advance. Okay. The next application on the docket is the rural application. So this program has about $14 million annually. These applications are due January 12th at 4:30 Mountain. This application is eligible for all counties, highway districts, and cities with populations under 5,000, and therefore classified roadways. Again, this is arterials or collectors or above. The goal for this is to have this application available every other year. The last time we accepted this application was 2019. This is for projects with estimated costs of up to $2 million. Points will be deducted when applying for funds over the 2 million, but no projects over 5 million in construction and CE&I. So again, these applications are due January 12th at 4:30, postmarked no later than January 9th. And again, you must include 2 copies and the signed originals. I can pause for questions on this one. Okay. The last one you get me for here is the urban program. So these applications are due January 12th, which is the same time as the rural, because you determined that you probably wouldn't be applying for both of those things at the same time, so they're due the same time. It's a lot of same times in the same sentence. This program is administered a little different than the other ones. The funding for this program is managed by the Urban Balancing Committee. So LHTAC represents the 17 tweeners. Those are the populations between 5,000 and 50,000. Those 17 represent 26 local jurisdictions. So we have the one projects come in and the votes in the urban committee for funding and how that gets moved around. There are the 5 MPOs and LTAC in those meetings having those conversations. So that's the only difference when I say there's a difference in how the program is administered. And again, it's important to note that the small urban areas, the population is based on the 2010 census, because that's the approved census at this point. It might change here in the near future, but right now when this application is published, that's the census that's approved by ITD and FHWA. So the urban application has 2 separate applications in it. One is for urban construction and the other one is for urban transportation plans. So for urban construction, it is 1 application per urban area, and the eligibility is based on recent funding. So we will contact you if you are eligible to submit an application for this. It is for use of roadway rehabs, reconstructions, new roadways, overlays, and chip seals. And the other application that's in here is the urban transportation plans. Again, these are in the same application. You're just going to apply for the one you're after. So this is for urban transportation plans. This is 1 application per urban area. It is again as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau. You have to have a roadway network analysis, a capital improvement plan, and a roadway or asset management program in your transportation plan. Applications are due January 12th at 4:30 Mountain, postmarked no later than January 9th. You must include the 2 copies and the signed original. Is there any specific questions to this program?
Kevin, we had a question come in through the chat from Chelsea James. And by the way, if you all have questions, now would be a great time to throw them in the chat box or prepare to unmute yourself. The question from Chelsea was, can the federal aid rural or urban programs be used for new signals?
Yes, the answer would be yes. If it on a rural one would be maybe a little tougher, but yeah, I think they both are eligible for that. And the only reason I'm saying rural is I don't know if you would have the warrants in a lot of rural areas, but yes, if it's warranted, yes. Quick answer, yes.
And maybe, Kevin, we could tease signals are also an eligible improvement depending on the circumstance with another program we'll be talking about here.
Yeah, like I said, Brian will talk about safety, and we do a lot of signals with the safety program too. So
Thanks for the question, Chelsea. Any other questions that are out there right now?
Okay. So this is my last, kind of beat you over the head with it. The applications for rural and urban are due January 12th at 4:30, postmarked no later than January 9th. Application for bridge is due January 19th, postmarked no later than January 16th.
This is Chelsea. I had one more question before we move on.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a break here.
Everybody needs some coffee after that. Go charge up. So that was a long
droning on, so
Charge up and come back in like, what do you think, 5 minutes, Jake?
I think 5 minutes will be great. So I'll pause the recording and we'll start back up here at 10 o'clock.